Um, Welcome to 716 Sports Blizzard, and today my guest is Evan from WGR, the producer of the Sabres pregame and postgame show.
Thanks for having me.
Um, how's your night going so far?
I mean, we got the Olympics on, so it's been definitely pretty enjoyable. Even though we don't have Sabres hockey on right now, at least the Olympics are kind of getting me through. A little bit of just a time where we don't have hockey. I mean, we got the Super Bowl coming up, but looking forward to being able to watch. The best athletes in the world. I got Peacock up right now, so I'm actually watching. While we're doing this, I just kind of have some stuff that's going on. It's a very exciting time, I will say.
Um, who who do you think is gonna win the Super Bowl?
I will not believe that. I don't believe that New England's going to win. I got Seattle winning this. I just am so annoyed with the Patriots that the fact that they're back in the Super Bowl. I think that just literally irritates me. I would easily think that this is going to be. I don't want to say it's going to be a blowout, but I mean, hey, it wouldn't surprise me if this was a blowout where maybe we're talking about like what it was last year, where the Philadelphia was clearly the better team.
Do you, do you think that um like Drake May um is a good quarterback for
Oh, for sure. I mean, definitely he's, for New England, he's a really good quarterback for the Patriots. I think that he's in a lot better of a system than he was last year. I mean, last year he didn't really have great coaching, but I would definitely say that the Patriots are going to be Super Bowl contenders for a very long time. Just that what they need to do is just they need to keep surrounding that young guy with talent, and you know they're in this window of he's super cheap and he's really good, so it's going to be something to keep an eye on for sure. I think that you know who knows? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this turns into like kind of the Bills Dolphins rivalry with Marino and Kelly. I think that could seriously be the case, and I think that New England's going to be an issue for many years.
um what do you think of the the Sabres this year, like with um Yarmo coming in and Adams being fired?
Well, I do believe that you know I think that Kevin Adams is. I mean, it's unfortunate. Like I thought I've met him before in person. He is a good man, but for me, I just felt like that there was no action when there needed to be action. When they were on like a 17 or 13 game losing streak, he really didn't do anything. And it wasn't like he set someone down to Rochester or tried to shake it up. He really didn't do much. I mean, he's made some solid trades, he's made some good draft picks. But for me personally, I just think that uh I just think that honestly, Yarmo coming in was a huge like kind of kick in the butt that the Sabres needed, because in all honesty, they did not feel like that their jobs were on the line. And now with Yarmo, he literally flat out said, "You guys are expendable. I will trade you and can trade you or whatever." And all honesty, like it turned into just I think it kind of has reinvigorated this team, and we'll see what happens, once it gets down to, are they able to keep this push going? Now they have lost, three of their last four. Don't get me wrong, but I think that this Olympic break is kind of coming at the right time. Now you're going to get some of your best players like Josh Norris and Zach Benson healthy. Hopefully, Rasmus Dahlin and Tage Thompson don't get hurt while they're over in Milan or in Italy, representing the United States and Sweden. I think they'll be fine, but I will say, it's going to be um it's going to be a tough push because the Sabres have probably one of the most difficult schedules down the stretch, because now they're going to go up against Florida and Tampa again, and they got Vegas as the first home game coming out of the break because they have a little bit of a road trip after the break. So their first home game is going to be against Vegas. So I think that anybody who's worried about losing a few games, everybody loses, and we need to just slow it down. This is coming at a good time where they realize, okay, we had a bad week or so. Let's you know go relax, get healthy, go on vacation or whatever, and then come back and hopefully power through. I still think they're going to make the playoffs. Don't get me wrong. They're in a really good spot. They just need to stay consistent. They just don't need to do what they did really in 2018, where they win 10 straight and then they lose like 25 or like 21 of their next 25. So they need to they can't let the losses build up to multiple. They need to be able to, like, if they lose, come back with like a win or two if that were to happen.
How many years have you been with WGR?
Well, I've been with them for about 3 years. 3 years in May, and I've been doing Sabres games um, since 2023. That was my first season doing it. Like, I did a game in the 2022 season, the one where they missed the playoffs by a point, and then eventually now I do them all. Like, I do a good handful of games. Um, that's what ended up happening, and I love doing the games because even though that they kind of stunk for a while, it still would be a lot of fun to do them, because there is a lot of just there's a lot of moving parts, and getting to hear how players feel, you get a little bit more in depth because you're listening to the people that have been doing this for a while. It really does get you to learn how good players are and what they're thinking and stuff like that.
Um, how did you get to know like Brian Koziel and um Paul Hamilton?
Well, I mean, I was a Sweet Home grad, and Brian Koziel is a teacher at Sweet Home, and that's how I kind of met him, and we did sort of I did the morning announcements when I was in high school, and he ended up he was like one of the faculty advisors for that group, and uh, it turned out to be, it eventually led to his connection helped me get with being able to get with WGR, and I ended up meeting Paul after I started working at the station more and then doing Sabres games. He knew who I was, and Paul's a great guy. Very insightful and very, in my opinion, I really like his analysis and his entertainment. I think that Paul does a really good job at what he does.
How how do you think the Sabres, like with Tage Thompson representing US and Darlene representing Sweden, uh like they had their send off ceremony on Thursdays. How did you think that went for them?
Well, I think that that was really appropriate. I think the Sabres have done really well with these kind of um, like for example, like the anything that they're celebrating, whether it's a past player. I mean, you saw on the 0506 ceremony that they did. They've really done a good job. I think that that's something that the players are really excited about is being able to represent their country, especially at the Olympics. Because, I mean, obviously Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen was supposed to be representing with Finland, but unfortunately he got hurt, and so he wasn't able to participate. So I think, in my opinion, I think that what how they did it was really, really good. I do. There is a little piece of me that kind of wishes that Alex Tuck had made the Olympic roster for Team USA. But I mean, maybe if he had played in the World Championships this past summer with Tage, maybe he would have had a good case for it because obviously they won the gold medal. But I think that Alex didn't he if he was under contract, I think he would have played, and maybe that would have given him a at least a decent shot because he's not only he's is he a really good goal scorer, but also he is going to literally be huge on the penalty kill. And I think that that's something that can be really helpful for the United States. I mean, it's not all about goal scoring. I know that I've heard some people say that the Miracle on Ice was almost like, or the movie Miracle was the worst thing that could have happened to U.S. hockey, where it's like, I'm not looking for the best players, I'm looking for the right ones. There's a little bit of me that kind of believes that, but also these guys are smart enough to know who's going to be able to fit in what position because some of these guys are probably like the best player on their team, and they're going to have to, it's almost like with when USA basketball comes, these guys are all superstars, and someone's not going to be playing a lot, and that's kind of I think that they all need to find their role, and I think they will.
The Sabres first game out of the break is against New Jersey. How do you think like the Sabres will do coming out of the break?
Well, I think that they'll be a lot healthier. I mean, you'll have obviously Josh Norris coming back, who is your going to be one of your best. Uh, he's you're going to be one of your top goal scorers, and hopefully can help on the power play. Um, I think that they'll be fine. I mean, I think New Jersey is still a good team. I mean, everybody's good, and I I'm at this point where I am not taking any team thinking the Sabres are going to win this game because the Sabres were once the team that everybody was like, oh, uh, a circled win. I guess I would say. I think New Jersey's still a good team. They have a lot of speed, um, but so do the Sabres. And I think that coming out of the break and everybody getting 100% healthy, I think is going to be huge for this team. And I think it's going to help them look better coming out of this Olympic break, only because they only have two players that are going to the Olympics. Some other players have like 10 players representing him in the Olympics. So it is going to be something that is going to be like something to look out for. And I think that they'll be able to, I think that they'll be able to rebound because especially they've had a few losses. I mean, the loss to Montreal was kind of tough, so I think that I think they'll be fine.
How do you think uh Yarmo will um take the trade deadline when they have to make the trades?
Right. I wouldn't be surprised if he made a move because that's kind of how he is. I'm thinking like if he was going to make a splash move and deal maybe someone that is a good player, I wouldn't be surprised if Owen Power's on that list. Because I think that, you know, people might not like it because he's a really good, um, he's a really good first overall pick. But it wouldn't surprise me one bit if that ended up being the decision to make. I think for me personally, it's really hard because you got a lot of depth, but I will say if you're the Sabres, I wouldn't you got to look at okay, some of these young guys that are probably in your prospect pool. I don't know if they're going to be able to make this Sabres roster because it's so deep. I mean, Yuri Kulik has been out for most of the season dealing with blood clots. I wouldn't be surprised if, if he's, I don't know if I'm wondering if he'll ever see a Sabre jersey again, or maybe, I think the thing I think about with when it comes to Yarmo is that he doesn't have the emotional attachments to some of these players like Kevin Adams did, like a Jack Quinn. Now he's not going to trade Rasmus Dahlin, Tage Thompson, or something like that. I think also I know Tuck's on the final year of his deal, but you cannot trade him. I think that he becomes basically your rental. If he says I'm not going to sign with the Buffalo Sabres next year, which I highly doubt that because I mean he grew up in Syracuse, so he is a fan of the Sabres. I would not be surprised if like that's not going to he's not going to be traded. He would quote unquote be their rental. I mean, there's thoughts of Ryan O'Reilly around, maybe even guys from St. Louis wouldn't surprise me, or even players of Steven Stamkos. I wouldn't be surprised. Like, look at the teams that have some good talent that are maybe towards the bottom of the league. I mean, New York. I mean, the Rangers are kind of, looking at it that way. So I think that could be something that you can look at when it comes to when I'm making trades. So it wouldn't surprise me either way if he wanted to keep the group together because this group has been successful. But it wouldn't surprise me if he was like this. We need to be able to find that guy that can even possibly get us to winning around, or maybe even trying to get to the Stanley Cup. I mean, not Tage Thompson, Alex Tuck talked about it the other day. He's like, we're not thinking about the playoffs, we're thinking about the cup. So I like that. I want to hear more people talk about. We want to go for the cup, and that's how I feel.
What player or players would you trade to get a good player?
I think that I would be like Isak Rosen. You're not touching Noah Osland. Consta Hellenius or Helenus or whatever, however you pronounce his last name. I wouldn't be surprised if he's part of a package deal to get a good player, because I think that you got young talent in the pipeline. I think that that's sometimes what some teams rebuilding might, if they're going to give up this really good player, they want to be able to recuperate it. And I think that that's something that I could look at, even a Jack Quinn or an Owen Power if you want to do like a hockey trade. Now, I wouldn't want to trade Owen Power because I mean, I think that he's good, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's traded for like a huge piece. But I think that those are kind of like my handful of guys that I could see being on the trading block, because this team, they need to make sure that it gets better, and I think that they can do that.
I heard rumors about the Sabres and the Bills being taken away from WGR.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't Obviously the Bills put out that news when it comes to, so like I'm not sure what it'll mean for the football season, at least not yet, at least because obviously, the season's over, so we're basically waiting till September to figure out what's happening. But I still believe like we'll still be able to have like coaches and players come on and come on to our shows and uh with the Sabres, there's nothing official just yet. I don't know if they're waiting till the end of the hockey season before they do something. Obviously for the Bills, One Bills Live will not be on WGR anymore. We'll have our own. From what I've heard, it's going to be something like a fill in, like a hosts that are familiar. So I'm not 100% familiar on what's going to be happening in the future. So it's kind of like a day by day thing that's going to be happening over at WGR. So that's kind of how it's really almost like it's a little bit of an unknown of what's actually going to happen. So it's more of like kind of a take it one day at a time. And I do believe that I'm not sure if we'll be like maybe like carrying the broadcasts on once football season comes around, taking the Bills feed, or what's going to happen. I mean, a lot of people have come to our station to listen to the game. So, I mean, we'll figure out, in time. But yeah, I'm not 100% sure on what's going to be happening in the near future when it comes to Bills and Sabres games on the radio. Hopefully, we can at least keep the Sabres games because I think that those are at least when I do them, I always have fun, especially now that they're doing good. It's kind of enjoyable to be able to produce those games on the radio.
Um, how do you know Joe DiBiase? The
Well, I mean, I knew of Joe. I mean, I didn't really. I mean, now that I work at WGR, I kind of know all the hosts, and he was kind of one of the first people that I met. I never really knew him before I started, so um, yeah, that's kind of a lot of my connections. Brian's usually, I think, like really um the only one that I have known on a personal level since before working at WGR. So a lot of the people that work there are a little bit even. I mean, I knew Sal a little bit before, Sal Capaccio, before I started working there, because he came into one of my previous jobs. So that's kind of how it really goes. I never really knew a lot of the hosts, only a couple, but really, yeah, that's how I would describe it. Yeah.
um, when does the men's portion of the hockey start for the Olympics?
Well, I know that I think I looked up the U.S. men's game. They will be playing against Latvia on. I'm just checking their schedule. You can probably. I believe their first game is on Thursday, the February 12th. They'll be playing their three games in their group are Latvia, Denmark, and Germany. Now, Latvia and Germany and Denmark, I feel like aren't really going to be, too much of an issue. But I think Germany could give the U.S. a run for their money, and I do believe, like, I think Sweden is going to be playing on Wednesday, and they'll be playing. I think it was Finland, or I mean, that Finland's in their group, but uh, yeah, I mean, it's weird. I was wondering why the men's like was starting so much later than the women's, because obviously the U.S. women are 2-0 and have played two games, but I think it also could be because a lot of these players are coming from the NHL, and they probably played literally on Friday or Saturday, or well, I not Friday. They probably played on Thursday, and the opening ceremonies were yesterday. So they're now all filing into Italy and getting acclimated to the new time change, and probably getting in a couple practices together. So I think that that's really why they're doing this, is because they want to get everybody kind of acclimated and ready to go for the Olympics.
Um, the the U.S. women's team has a local girl on their team, and she scored two goals in their last game before this one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm trying to sort of remember her name off the top of my head. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on it, but Team USA, the U.S. women have always been, Haley, sh- either way, excuse me, I don't want to botch her last name, but anyways, the U.S. women has always been. I feel like when it comes to women's hockey, I think that there's always been really the two powerhouses, and that has been the United States and Canada. And I would not be surprised if that ends up being the gold medal game again, or at least them meeting for a chance to the road to gold. For me personally, I think the U.S. women are in a good spot. They dominated Czechia 5-1, and they dominated Finland, and I think that they have one more game, I believe, before the knockout stage. I don't know how many they're I'm not sure exactly what their who they're going to be like who's in their bracket, but yeah, they beat Czechia, they beat Finland, so they have two more games before the knockout stage against Switzerland, which I expect them to probably blow them out, and then also Canada, which is obviously the big one on Tuesday. So then they start up the quarterfinals, semifinals. And I mean, they're going to be in the quarterfinals the day before the U.S. men play a game. So, like, to me, I guess that's kind of crazy how quickly they're playing first, and so I think that the U.S. women are probably the second best team in the world, because I think that they are, because I think Canada still kind of holds that pedestal over them right now because of how dominant they've been over the United States for so many years. So I would say that's how I would feel about it.
Um, what do you think of the Sabres having three goalies on their roster?
It's not my favorite. I don't really. I feel like I think that they would be good with two, but I think with what they're going through right now of not having you know, I feel like everybody has been getting hurt at times where, so like Lyon gets hurt a couple times, then Luukkonen gets hurt, then Ellis has the concussion. So it's almost like they've been playing with two goalies, but I just don't know if this three goalie rotation will be able to last. I think that, Lindy Ruff has been known to, if he's got a hot goaltender, he's going to go with him for a long time. And I think that you know, I think that Alex Lyon is going to be a good, bridge. And, I think that for me personally, my two goalies that I'd probably prefer would be, Lyon's kind of the veteran that you should, kind of keep in there. And then as like kind of your veteran who is very, doesn't really do anything crazy. And then I think that you got to go with Luukkonen because of what you paid him, and Luukkonen has been good. And it's nothing against Colton Ellis. I think he's great. It does make me wonder what they're going to end up eventually do with Devin Levi, because if they keep, Colton Ellis, I wouldn't be surprised if the Sabres try to trade Devin Levi to get something, in my opinion. I'm just looking at some of your comments. I don't think Lyon's a long-term goalie. I think that for now, I think that he'll be able to, hold down the fort for a while, give you some stability, really, and that's how I feel. I don't think Lyon's your long-term, obviously, because of his age, but I do think that he is a good, stable goaltender that can help you, make a push to the postseason, because the reason why the Sabres haven't made the playoffs in the last 14 years is because they haven't had solid goaltending. I mean, I believe they haven't had a good goaltender since Ryan Miller, and even right now, yeah, they're getting good goaltender, but goaltending, I think this is probably the best that they've had since Miller, in my opinion.
Do you follow the Bandits at all?
I
Lacrosse?
mean, a little bit. I mean, I haven't been following them too much. At least I know this season they've been struggling a lot. This has not been, I think that they're starting to get caught up in. I think they're starting to get caught in the fact of just they've been to the finals. They've won 3 straight finals, and they've been there, what, 5, maybe 6 times, something like that. And it's going to be, it's tough. So I would have to say that they are, I think that, I don't know if this is going to be their year that they win it all. Who knows? I mean, I think last year they got off to a rough start, and they turned it around. It turned into, it turned into a great, a championship. Now, I'm not sure how I would, I mean, I'm worried about their goaltending, because I mean, Matt Vince, he's like what, in his 40s, so in his 40s, so it might be time to maybe find someone new. But again, I don't follow lacrosse and all enough to feel like, oh, this guy's on the market. Yeah. Sabres have to cool off a bit. Alex Lyon was with the Red Wings last year. I don't think he's a long-term goalie. I think that this Olympic break kind of comes at the right time. And we'll see. I think the Olympic break won't hurt the Sabres. I think that if anything, this is going to help the Sabres, because now it's more so you got to think about, you played probably your worst game against in like basically months, or since his 10-game winning streak ended. I think that this 3-week break will help the guys get healthy and recuperate, getting back on track. I honestly believe that I think they'll be fine. I wouldn't. I think people are probably worried because they have had their hearts broken many times by the Sabres. They look good, and then all of a sudden it comes crumbling down.
If the Bandits lose to the Philadelphia Wings tonight at home, do you think it would be time for them to hit the panic button?
I mean, maybe. I mean, again, it's a long season. I mean, I think that they'll be fine. They're good. They're a veteran team. They've had MVPs they have MVPs on their season and on their team. I don't want to say I don't want to say yes, but I also don't want to say no because I feel like it can it's a I don't really have maybe too much knowledge of the Bandits, but again, this is not a typical season. Now, this could be a season where they're just probably just they've played so late into the season that I think that they might be a little bit just tired almost, or so it could it I do believe that the league has started to catch up to the Bandits, and I think that you know that's kind of good for the league. I am a proponent of dynasties. I feel like can really be harmful for a league. I think that especially with something that's trying to I think for someone who's trying to, really get back into it, I think that, dynasties can sometimes people aren't going to watch because they're going to see like, oh, well, the Bandits are probably just going to win it all. It's for the Sabres and Red Wings only team. I think the Red Wings are kind of falling a little bit. I think that the Sabres are more on the up, and the Red Wings are more going up, and the Red Wings I think are trending more down. If the Sabres had won on Thursday, they would be in sole possession of second place in the Atlantic Division, and they would be hosting a playoff. They'd be hosting Game 1. So I think that I think that the Sabres are more likely to make the playoffs than the Detroit Red Wings. I wouldn't be surprised if Detroit falls out of the playoffs.
Do you have any questions you want to ask me before we end the show?
I mean, like, what got you into like what part of some of my podcasting is with my show? I've had some people like Chris Brown, the voice of the Buffalo Bills, and Dan Dunleavy, the voice of the Buffalo Sabres, and a bunch of other people on. And I usually just ask them like, what made you get into broadcasting? And so that's my question for you. What made you want to get into like broadcasting and doing the podcast?
Just being able to like meet people like Paul Hamilton and yourself and Brian Koziel,
Right.
to learn more about the teams.
That's cool. Yeah, I think that getting to network with everybody and learning more about what they want to do. I see Chris, your radio talk show host yourself. That's awesome. I mean, I'll say like I need to sharpen up on my podcast. I have a podcast, Depot's Den. It's DIPO. That's how you spell depot. I haven't been really good on it. I think I need to really get back into doing it. But I think now, like, there's a little bit of, I think now that the Sabres are doing better, I feel like there's a little bit of rejuvenation. But yeah, I think that, networking is huge, and even getting to voice your opinion on something that maybe you don't like, you get to create your own platform. And that's what I love so much about podcasting, is that you're able to, get to say what you want. And I honestly believe that, people can have their opinions on how they feel, and, we can agree to disagree, especially when it comes to sports. I mean, we might not agree on, say, the head coach or whatever, and with like the head coaching hire, but we could still say, hey man, go Bills. Obviously we might not be happy with the team or whatever, but we still love the Bills. Kind of that's how I feel.
Um,
But also another question I got. Then, what do you think the Sabres are going to do at the trade deadline? Do you expect the Sabres to, do what? Do you expect the Sabres to make a move at the deadline? And if so, who do you want? Or like, if there's a specific kind of player or type of player that you want?
I think maybe like they could try to um get away from the three goalies. Um,
You got a goalie that you were like kind of like, is there someone that you kind of don't want to, you would want to say like, okay, thanks, but we're gonna trade you? Is it Lyon, is it Lukanen, or is it Ellis?
I like Lyon and Ellis. Um, but they're paying Lukanen still.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, it's a tough decision. I think if all three of them were healthy and they wouldn't have any of these injuries, I feel like one of them would be gone by now. So
Do you think they could like do something with a goalie and a player and get a player back for that?
I could see that happening. I mean, hey, it's the NHL. I think that they are going to do whatever they need to do to really, um, you know, get a. I think that that's what's going to end up happening is, once the guys are healthy, I think that they will end up finding a way to, um, turning this into something where they get a really good player out of it, and someone gets, they're all good goaltenders, and I think that that's what's going to eventually happen is, I think that someone's going to get traded and the Sabres are going to get something for it. And heck, it could, I don't want to say it could be Devin Levi, but it wouldn't shock me if Devin Levi was on the move.
Yeah, because he's been playing down in Rochester.
Yeah, I mean, he, when he needed to take a step last year to try to, take the starter's net, I mean, it was there for the taking for him, and he just wasn't ready for it. And it wouldn't surprise me if he ended up, we'll see. I mean, he was a good goaltender in college. He won the Richter Award for best college goaltender. So I mean, I think that he can be a really good goaltender. I just don't know, if the Sabres want to deal with like just such a young goalie when they've got so many guys that they are trying to, they're trying to get to, they're trying to win a Stanley Cup. That's what they're hoping for.
Where could my viewers find you at? Um,
Well, you can find me on Twitter or X at Evan Depot 2, EVANDIPO, the number 2, or find me on my podcast, Depot's Den, DIPO apostrophe S, Den, Depot's Den. I'm, hopefully going to be putting up a podcast within the next, couple days or so, and, be on the lookout for that. We'll talk Bills, we'll talk Sabres, we'll talk the Super Bowl, and just have a good time. And if I need a guest, I'll maybe reach out to you about it.
that sounds cool. Um, yeah, my my friend Logan, he um he helps me out once in a while on the show, and um him and I try to get on monthly and talk about um like the Sabres or the Bandits or just anything um going on locally.
Hmm. I mean, yeah, I think that it's great, being able to just kind of just be able to chat with people for a while. I think that that's something that's really cool. But yeah, thank you. Like, hey, thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'll reach out to you again if like once the Sabres get into the playoffs or if they're like getting closer.
Yeah, I'm totally down for that. Yeah, dude, you just you got my information. Ever if you ever need to reach out to me, always here for you.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on, and um I'll be posting this soon to my Twitter page.
Awesome. Look forward to it.
Thank you everyone for tuning in, and thanks to my guest Evan, and I'll see you next time.